Hi students, welcome back to today's class. Now we are going to see object-oriented programming concepts before we go and see the binary files writing and reading. Okay, how we can write content into the binary files and how we can read the content from the binary files. Before we go and see the program related to binary files, we need to see the programming concepts, that is object-oriented concepts, object-oriented programming concepts we need to see. So let me move on to introduction part. Over last few decades, the entire world has seen tremendous revolution, and major credit for it goes to technology revolution, of which software programming has been an essential part. That is, programming style, paradigms, and languages. Everything have evolved tremendously in the last few decades. Okay, so the programming that started with machine language. So initially, if you see programming style, it was started with machine language, and it was moved from assembly to high level languages. High level languages only now we are working on, that is like C, C++, Java, and Python also. Okay, so machine language initially we got started for programming and moved from assembly language to high level languages, and many programming paradigms we came across. Okay, so procedural programming and object-oriented programming have been two most common programming paradigms. So let us see the difference between the procedural programming also and object-oriented programming also. Okay, so in this chapter we are going to talk about object-oriented programming and how it is implemented in Python, which is an object-oriented language. So Python is an object-oriented language. So some of the features are there compared to procedural paradigm in the object-oriented programming paradigm. So compared to procedural programming, in object-oriented programming, we have some additional features. So due to that only, the Python programming language is popularly used by most of the industries nowadays. Okay, so which is an object-oriented language. Okay, so what is object-oriented programming paradigm? First, we need to know what is meant by programming paradigm. Programming paradigm, it refers to the way or style of writing a program. So in which way you are writing a program or which style you are writing a program, that is only known as programming paradigm. There have been different programming paradigms such as procedural programming paradigm, modular programming paradigm, and then object-oriented programming paradigm, etc. So before we talk about object-oriented programming paradigm, it is important to discuss briefly about the procedural paradigm to appreciate the difference. Okay, we know the difference between the procedural paradigm and object-oriented paradigm. Why we are going for object-oriented programming concepts? So what is the drawback in procedural paradigm that we will see here? So what is procedural programming paradigm? A program written with the procedural programming paradigm is the list of instructions where each statement tells the computer to do something. So it will be mainly focusing on only the actions or functions or methods. If you see procedural programming paradigm, it will be working fully on actions. Okay, it will be doing something. Okay, so it is having a list of instructions, that is list of statements. This program will have list of statements. Procedural programming will have list of instructions or statements where each statement tells the computer to do something. So the focus is on only the processing. Okay, that is the algorithm needed to perform the desired computation. So here in procedural programming, an algorithm is required for performing only calculation or some computation. Okay, only required computation can be performed with the help of the procedural programming paradigm. That is, the highlight is on doing things only. So emphasis is on only doing things. So they are giving importance, the procedural programming paradigm is giving importance only on doing things, that is action, not on the data. It won't do any work on the data what we are giving. So it will be fully focusing on the action only. So even though the data is an essential part of the system, so a procedural program will view a problem or a system as a sequence of actions taking place. Okay, so it will be viewing every problem as a sequence of actions only. So what kind of actions we can perform on the given problem. So like that only the procedural programming paradigm will be done. Okay, and object-oriented programming paradigm, it will be different to procedural programming paradigm. The object-oriented approach, unlike procedural programming, it will be viewing the problem or system in terms of objects, okay, involved rather than the procedure for doing it. So it will be not looking for a procedure for doing it. Okay, it will not focus on only the action. So it will consider the objects also. So let us see what is meant by object. So do you know what is an object is? What an object is? Well, an object is an identifiable entity with some characteristics and behavior, not same characteristics, with some characteristics and behavior. So let us see an example for an object in object-oriented programming. For example, if you say orange one fruit, okay, it is an object. Its characteristics are it is spherical shaped and its color is orange. Its behavior is okay. How it be looking like, or see, this is a shape, okay. So spherical shaped and color is orange is characteristics, and its behavior is juicy, citrus, and its taste is sweet sour taste. Okay, so like that, the behavior we can identify behavior of this object orange with the help of these things. Okay, so characteristics or attributes are mentioned from the oranges. It is like looking like a spherical shape and its color is orange. Okay, so like that we can say the characteristics or its attributes of this object. Similarly, if you consider the fan, okay, fan that is on your ceiling, it is also an object. Its characteristics are its color, its motor capacity, and number of blades, and it has etc. Okay, so how many number of blades it is having, its color and its size, all those things we can give as a characteristics. What is its behavior? Its rotating speed. So what action it is doing, that is only known as behavior. What kind of action we can get it from the fan? So it can rotate air at a specific speed in RPM, that is rotations per minutes. So at some speed, it will be rotating the air. Okay. So that is the work. Okay. That is the work or method or function of the fan. That is only known as behavior. So what is meant by an object? An object is an identifiable entity. We can identify the entity. Okay. Real world entity. It is a real world entity, one object. So with some characteristics and some behavior. So even human being, if you consider, for human being, we are having height, okay, weight, and then color, okay, then features, nose, okay, like that. Every part we can. There is a differentiation from one human being to another human being based on characteristics or attributes. Okay, and if you see the behavior, so one person will behave differently for doing same task, one person will be doing differently and another person will do the same task in a different way. Okay, he'll complete the same work in a different way or different action he'll do in order to complete it. So like that, behavior will be varying, and characteristics are also similar characteristics only, color and weight, height. For every human being, this is going to be the same. The characteristics are going to be the same. That is, attributes are going to be the same. And methods also, speaking, running, and then walking. All those things are common methods for every human being. Okay, so every human being can able to speak, and only few cannot perform. Okay, they can able to speak, they can able to see, and they can able to walk. Maximum human beings. Okay, so the behavior and characteristics maximum are common. Okay, so everything will come under one class. So let us see class and object everything in the next topics. Okay, so to understand these concepts more clearly, let us consider an example. Let us simulate traffic flow at red light crossing. Okay. So as you know, procedural programming paradigm focuses on the procedures or the working action alone. So using procedural programming paradigm, the above said problem, that is simulate traffic flow at a red light crossing. Okay. So where the red light is put, so how the traffic flow will be simulated in that place. Okay. So for that, we are going to take a procedural programming paradigm, in that how the problem is going to be solved. So the above said problem will be viewed in terms of working or actions happening in the traffic flow, like moving, halting, turning, accelerating, etc. are going to be noticed only by the procedural programming paradigm. If you consider the OOP paradigm, that is object-oriented programming paradigm, however, aims at the objects and their interface. That is, in object-oriented programming approach, the traffic flow problem will be viewed in terms of the objects involved. So what kind of objects are involved in the traffic flow? Like cars, trucks, buses, scooters, auto rickshaws, taxis, like that. It is going to focus on objects also. That is, objects or attributes and characteristics. Then behaviors are going to be viewed by the OOP concept. Okay. Let us understand another very important term, that is class. Okay. So object is a part of a class. Okay. A class is a template or a blueprint. It is a model. Okay, template means what? It's a sample or model. So a class is a template or blueprint. It represents a group of objects that share the common properties and the relationships. As I said, human being, so under human being we have some persons names we can give, and girls names, boys names, or anything we can give under human being class. But human being is a derived class of what? It is derived one. It's a class of mammal class. Okay, so like that, a class can be derived from one another class also. Okay, so that concepts and all we will see with some examples in the later topics. That is OOP features we will see. Okay, so class means what? It is a template or blueprint representing a group of objects that share the common properties and the relationships. In the above example, cars have been identified as objects. Okay, they have characteristics like steering wheel, seats, motor, brakes. So every car will be having this. But a car names and brands will be different, but a maximum all the cars will be having this main parts. And their behavior is their mobility. So every car will be moving only. So car, however, is not an object. It is a class actually. Okay. So in under the car, if you go a specific car like Optra 52 XYZ and Maruti 800, then Datsun, like that. If you consider the car's names, no specific car, if you are taking, that is only called as object. So car is a group of car is actually a class. Under the class, if you are mentioning specific car names, okay, specifically some car names, if you are mentioning, so maximum cars will be having these parts. Okay, so that is shared here. Okay, that's why they are saying. So if you have the class is a template. Car is here as a, considered as a class. It's a template. Okay, it's a model or blueprint representing the group of objects. Like different car names, if you are giving, that is group of objects that share common properties. What are the properties are shared here? What are the actions it is doing? Every car is having the mobility as an action. Okay, and like every car will have the characteristics like attributes like steering wheel, seats, motor, and brakes. Everything will be there in every car. Okay, so an object is a instance of a class. Object is a example of a class. Okay, it is one of the example of class. For example, we can say parrot is a class, but Mitu is the name of one parrot. So Mitu is the parrot, is an object of this class parrot. Okay, class type. Now, while programming using OOP approach, okay, object-oriented programming approach, the characteristics of an object are represented by its data. That is how we can represent the characteristics of the object by the data, by providing some values for the variables. Okay, so variables only is variables and its values only known as object, and its behavior is represented by its associated functions. So what kind of functions? Like if you take car will be doing moving, okay, moving work it will do, that is mobility. So its behavior is represented by its associated functions. Okay, so when you are going to do programming, we are not going to represent sorry, behavior and attributes like that we are not going to take. Just we are going to take behavior as a function, and attributes or characteristics as a data, that is a value. For a variable we need to assign a value. For that we will see some programs at the end of this programming concepts. Okay, after discussing this OOP concepts, no, we will see one example program related to this object oriented programming concepts. So how object-oriented program can be written in Python, that we will see here at the end of this chapter. Okay. Then a class is a template or a blueprint representing a group of objects that share a common properties and relationships. So object-oriented programming concepts we will move on. It has been developed with the view to overcome the drawbacks of the conventional programming approaches. What are the conventional programming approaches we have seen along with the object-oriented? That is procedural programming paradigm we have seen. So in order to overcome the drawbacks of that procedural programming approach, we are going for this OOP approach. It's based on the certain concepts. So what are the concepts we need to follow when we are implementing the program in OOP, that is object-oriented programming? First concept we need to have here is when we are writing a program using OOP concept. Okay, so data abstraction and data hiding we need to compulsorily follow, and data encapsulation and inheritance, polymorphism. So all these concepts are supported by object-oriented programming. So when you are writing a program, Python program in OOP concept, we need to follow certain syntaxes and the concepts also. So first let us see what is meant by data abstraction and data hiding. Okay, so data abstraction means it is a concept of simplifying a real world concepts into its essential elements. Okay, we need to simplify. Okay, we need to reduce the real world concepts. So we should not know the explanations and details, etc., of one particular product. So that is going to be simplified. Okay, that is only known as abstraction. Abstraction means reduced form. Okay, it is the concept of simplifying or reducing a real world concept into its essential elements. Only the important elements alone will be shown to the user. For example, to understand the abstractions, let us take an example. You are driving a car. You only know the essential features to drive a car, like gear handling, steering handling, use of clutch, accelerator, brakes, etc. These parts alone you know how to handle it. But while driving, do you get into the internal details of car, like wiring and motor working of car, etc., whether you know properly? No. So you just change the gears or apply the brakes, etc. This only you will be knowing. So what is happening inside is hidden from you. Okay, so what is happening inside, that is wiring, how it is done, and motor work, how the motor is working, and which motor is fixed there, that and all we don't know. Okay, so what is happening inside is hidden from us. So this is known as abstraction. So only giving explanation for the essential elements. So it is a concept of simplifying a real world concept into its essential elements. So important elements explanation alone will be provided to you. So this is known as abstraction, where you only know the essential things to drive a car without including the background details or explanations. So inside that internal circuitry board, how it was designed, all those things are hidden from the user. So this is only known as abstraction. So hiding the background details or explanations and uh, showing only the essential things. Okay, that is only known as abstraction. So this is going to be followed. This data abstraction is going to be followed in all product manufacturing also. Then take another example of switchboard. You only press certain switches according to your requirement. What is happening inside, how it is happening, etc., we don't know. Okay, you need not know. Again, this is an abstraction. So this is another example for abstraction. You know only the essential things to operate on switchboard without knowing the background details of the switchboard. Okay, so next, what is data hiding? Okay, data hiding, in abstraction we are showing only essential part. Here data hiding, important things and all we are hiding it, like data abstraction only. So we are saying definition in different format. So it is the act of hiding irrelevant details from the user. That is background details, as we said in the abstraction. No, the background details and explanations are hidden from the user. That is only here irrelevant detail. That is not necessary for the person who is driving the car. Okay, so if he want, he can learn, but it is not important. So only essential elements are exposed to the user. That is only known as abstraction. Here in data hiding, irrelevant details are going to be hide from the user. That is the act of hiding irrelevant details from the user. So data hiding is related to data abstraction, where irrelevant details are made hidden in the data hiding and data abstraction also. So abstraction refers to the act of representing essential feature or showing essential features without including the background details or explanation. Then data hiding. Data hiding is the act of hiding irrelevant details from the user. So next concept is, so first we have seen data abstraction and data hiding. Next we are going to see encapsulation. Next we are going to see inheritance, and then polymorphism. All these concepts are object-oriented programming concepts. So without these, without any one of the concept, the program will not be written in object-oriented programming. Okay. So for that only, we are learning the concepts clearly first. So what is encapsulation? Encapsulation, in the sense, it is a way of combining both the data and the functions. Okay, so you will be working on the data when you are when we are using the function. For example, if you want to perform add function, okay, if you want to do add or a subtract or multiplication function, compulsorily you need to have data. No, without data you cannot perform add or subtract or multiplication. The same way, encapsulation means it is a way of combining both the data and the functions that operate on the data. So the functions are going to operate on the data under a single unit. So everything is combined as packed as one single unit. That is only known as encapsulation. Encapsulation means packing everything together as a single unit. So it is a way of combining both data and the functions that operate on the data under a single unit. So we are making data and functions as a single unit. The only way to access the data is provided by the functions, that are without help of the function we cannot able to access, that is read the data or write the data we cannot perform without help of the functions. so that are combined along with the data. So functions are combined along with the data itself. So these functions are called member functions or methods. So in this OOP concepts, functions are not going to be called as functions. We will call it as member functions or methods. Okay. So the data, even the data is also going to be called as data members. Okay. We will call in some places as data members. Okay. So data members and member functions, we will use the term in a object-oriented programming concept. Okay. So the data cannot be accessed directly. You can access the data only through the exposed functionality made available to you. That is, with the help of the function only, you can able to access the data. For example, to drive a car, a fuel is used. Okay, but you will not take out the fuel from the fuel tank to start a car. You just use the interface provided to you. That is one. You need to insert the key. Okay, you use the car keys to start the ignition, and it internally fetches the fuel and performs the required action through the required parts. Okay, so the internal details and the functioning is hidden from you. You just use the interface provided, that is car panel, steering, brakes, clutch, etc. That the interface alone you are going to use it to drive a car. So this is because the car characteristics, that is physical parts and its behavior, are encapsulated as a single unit. So here the data is hidden. So it's safe from accidental. So it is safe from accidental alteration. Okay, so any accidentally, if we cannot do any kind of alteration, because everything is made as a single unit, we will not do any kind of mistakes if it is separately provided to you. Okay, if it is not combined as a single unit, we will do some alterations in that. Okay, so due to that, some kind of a problem occurs in the car, so that here data is hidden, so it is safe from accidental alteration. That is only known as encapsulation. That is the wrapping up of data and operations or functions, okay, into a single unit or a class. Okay, single unit means what? Under one class, everything is comes. Under one class, we will have data also and functions also. That is only known as encapsulation. Okay, and next is inheritance concept. What is inheritance? Inheriting something, okay, deriving something, or receiving or inheriting the capabilities or properties from the other class. Okay, so inheritance is the capability of one class of things. Okay, one particular class, some things are there, some objects are there, that is going to derive or receive or inherit the capabilities of the another class. For example, we are humans. Okay, we inherit from the class humans certain properties such as ability to speak, breathe, eat, drink. So these are the capabilities are derived from one human to another human. That is grandparent you just take, and then parent, and then child. So if you see that relationship, grandparent will be having some kind of behavioral characteristics that will be little, it will be inherited to a parent, and from the parent a little it will be passed to child. So like that, it is characteristics and the behavior are going to be inherited from parent class to child class. That is only known as inheritance. Okay, so we inherit from the class humans certain properties such as ability to speak, breathe, eat, drink, but these properties are not unique to humans. The class human inherits these properties from the class called mammal, which again inherits some of its properties from the another class called animal also. Okay, so animal and human both are inheriting from the mammal group. Okay, mammal class. Similarly, the class car inherits some of its properties from the class called automobiles. This automobiles, from where it will be inheriting, which inherits some of its properties from the another class known as vehicles. Okay, so the capability to pass down properties is known as inheritance. What is meant by inheritance? It is the capability of one class of things to receive or inherit the capabilities or properties from another class is known as, or capability to pass down the properties. We are passing down the properties to the another class. That is also known as inheritance only. Okay. So parent class, if it is passing down to the base class, subclass, it is known as inheritance. Or if subclass is inheriting some properties from the parent class, that is also known as inheritance only. So the class from which properties are inherited is called, so from which class we are inheriting the properties are known as parent class, base class, super class. And the class that inherits the properties is called, so which class is deriving or receiving that property, that is known as derived class or subclass. Okay, so you should know properly what is meant by base class, super class, derived class and all in inheritance. Okay. Next, last concept in object-oriented programming is polymorphism. It is the ability for a message or data. Okay, because in any programming, if you take, we will have some data and we will have some functionality also, functions also. So it is the ability of a message or a data, for a message or data to be processed in more than one form. Okay, for that also we will see some kind of examples, real-time examples, and mathematical related examples will also we will see for polymorphism. Okay, poly means many, morphism means taking more than one form. Okay, poly means many and morphism means taking more than one form. Okay, so it will be doing a dual role. Okay, so like that we can assume. Okay, so if you see the examples, you will be clear with what is meant by polymorphism. It is the ability for a message or data to be processed in more than one form. It supports the capability of an object of a class to behave differently in response to a message, okay, or action. For example, class human is a subclass of mammal class. Similarly, dog and cat are also subclasses of mammal class. Mammals can see through the daylight. So only during light time or daytime, daylight time, they can able to see mammals. So if a message see through daylight, it is if it is passed to all the mammals, they will all behave alike. That is similarly everyone can able to see in a daylight. Now, if a message see through darkness, if it is passed to all the mammals, the humans and dogs will not be able to view at night, whereas cats will be able to view during night also. So here cat is also a class, comes under mammal, but class can behave differently in different situation. For example, if you are passing this object or data, passing the message see through daylight, cat can able to see. If you are passing the message see through darkness, again here cat can also see. So here two forms it is taking, two messages it can able to perform. Okay, it can do two actions. Okay, so that's why the cat is now this concept is known as polymorphism. That is, whereas cats will be able to view during night also, here cats, that is mammals, can behave differently than other mammals in response to a message or action. So in response to this message, it is acting differently. That is, daytime also it can able to see, darkness also it can able to see. So this is known as polymorphism. So we will consider another example to understand in a better way. So we will take another example. If you give 5 plus 7, that is plus is going to be, plus is like a message here. Here we have passed message, no, see through daylight, see through darkness, and 5 and 7 are like cat. Okay, so if 5 and 7 both are numbers here, so if you pass plus, okay, what will happen? It results into 12. So same plus, if you are going to same message, if you are going to pass it for, okay, here like a cat is going to perform two actions, no, like that plus is going to perform on two things. Okay, so one for numbers. Okay, plus can be performed used on numbers and plus can be used on strings also. And if you give a plus b, it results into ab, the concatenated string you are getting. So first one addition, second one concatenation. So the same operation symbol, that is plus, is able to distinguish between the two operations, summation and concatenation, depending upon the data type it is working on. So depending upon the type of the data, it is doing first action as summation, that is addition, and second action is changed as concatenation. So here cat is like a plus symbol. So cat can able to perform two different behaviors, that is it can able to see at daylight also, and day darkness also it can able to see. Same way plus can able to perform its operation on two numbers, and the operation name will be summation. And if it is working on string data types, okay, if the same plus is going to be worked on string data types, it can give the operation name as concatenation. So this example is only known as polymorphism. Is the ability for a message or data to be processed in more than one form. So data, if it is going to be processed in more than one format, then that is known as polymorphism. So in the next video, we will see how Python implements this OOP concepts. Now we are going to see the programming with this concepts. Okay. So how these concepts, classes, objects, all those things we have studied, know how this is going to be implemented in the Python program. That we will see with some examples. Then you will understand the class, that is class and objects, and how we can call the uh, that is data, how it can be accessed with the help of the functions, member functions are also we will see with the help of examples. Then afterwards we will see the binary files.